Reading Transcendental Diary, Volume 3, Chapter 1, New Durban, West Virginia, June 22nd, 1976. New Durban is spread out over a large area, and each section is called by a different name corresponding to the 12 different forests or varnas of the original Vrindavan. Prabhupada took his morning walk along a dirt road in Taliban. The vale we walked in was a little dank and dark due to dense vegetation. A heavy mist hung low across all the valleys, but our immediate area was clear. Kirtanananda Swami pointed out various parcels of land which were becoming available. Glorifying the simple country life, Srila Prabhupada encouraged him to buy as much as possible. The devotees are growing hay on land rented from neighbors, and this is stored in silos for the cows' winter feed. Kirtanananda Maharaj explained that they give only a third, or sometimes even just a quarter of the produce in exchange for using the land. The neighbors would rather have this arrangement than leave the land unattended, because regular usage prevents trees from growing, which would ruin it. He told Prabhupada that they are also now cutting their own lumber. Prabhupada liked that. He says, that is the nature's way. You cut the lumber and make cottage, and the land is clear. Then cultivate. Get your food and cows, give them grass. So Srila Prabhupada says that real wealth means to have grain, land, and cows. It was regular in India that everyone had their own cow and some land to grow some food. And any extra, you would either exchange by barter. So this is real wealth, you know. Most of the time when we buy food from the supermarket, it's been frozen for 6 months. Or it's been imported from somewhere else, which has been also frozen. So you don't get good produce. Actually, South Africa has very fertile land. And we have like the best pineapples and apples and everything, but we export them. So in the name of greed, we've lowered our value of life just for paper money. Now you won't even find paper money, it's just numbers on the screen. So in the name of greed, and what to speak of mismanagement of food. Many food is thrown out. People are warning like, people are starving, there's people are hungry. Usually it's because of mismanagement, and political leaders and businessmen, they try to increase the demand by throwing out a lot of good produce. So we shouldn't, Prabhupada wanted us to be self-sufficient, so that's why we have New Vrindavan farms like this, to show the example of how to live in a self-sufficient way, which is conducive to spiritual life. So simple living and high thinking. As we walked past some dogs on the roadside, they began to bark. Immigration department, Prabhupada joked. We have got passport, that is all right. He chuckled. Dog's business, without any fault, they chastise. We have no fault, still they are chastising. Kirtananda said that although there is so much unused land, the government still says there is overpopulation. Srila Prabhupada said that he has never accepted this assertion. There is no overpopulation. If the Americans allow the Chinese and the Indians to come, they can develop all these. No, this is our land, you cannot come. Immigration, go, go. In the Bhagavatam, we see that when Prabhupada would bark, go, go. Fong, fong, he'll make nice noises, effects of different animals and cars. Whoosh, whoosh, that was like racing cars. In Bhagavatam, we see that when Nanda Maharaj felt some disturbances from the demons, they decided to change the place. And they immediately, from Gokul, they immediately went to Vrindavan. But we don't find anything that they had to take permission. So that means formally this was the system. If there is any vacant land, one can go and live there. There is no question of permission. When you live there and you make your professional activities, then the king will come take a little tax. So Prabhupada will always point out how modern society has become a society of cats and dogs, and especially in the terms of like immigration departments. So you have South African passports, so you need visas for pretty much everywhere. For Nita, he's from Schengen, which means you don't really need a visa for anywhere, but for South Africa, he needs. Only the whole EU is allowed into South Africa for free, but Slovenia and Slovakia, no, the immigration department, what is your purpose here? He needs to apply for visa. He needs to get proper invitation letter. He has to give his passport for 2 weeks, so he can't go anywhere. It's so annoying, this immigration department. What is your purpose? Why you come here? So just like you walk, especially here in Chatsworth, everyone has a dog. And you walk in front of people's house, they always have a German Shepherd barking at you, saying, "This is my land, what are you doing here?" Wow, wow. So Prabhupada compares the immigration department to dogs. Kirtananda said that formerly the system in America, they called it homesteaders. If you would go and make your home there, you could have the land. That is not for the foreigners, Prabhupada said. If some Chinese man or Indian want to come, Kirtananda Maharaj replied that foreigners used to be allowed, but now they don't allow anyone. Just see, Prabhupada said. Why? Because it has become very profitable for people to keep it, because people are making money on it now. Money they must take, Prabhupada granted. Otherwise, why they should come? But what is the objection? Just like in the marketplace, still in India, the system is the marketplace, anyone can go and sell his goods. And when he is selling, the proprietor takes some contribution. Not that he has to take permission, he is selling there. That's all right, give me a little contribution. The king has the right to tax for maintenance. As we drove back to the temple for darshan of the deities and class, Kirtanananda Swami pointed out different patches of land where the devotees are growing a big variety of vegetables: cauliflower, peas, beets, carrots, lettuce, spinach, potato, broccoli, cabbage, and peppers. But he said that most of them are not yet fructified because this is early in the season. Prabhupada was well satisfied that the devotees are working on the land. He has said many times he wants us to learn how to be self-sufficient, gaining all our needs from the land. Vegetables, ghee, milk, wheat. Then what do you want more? He asked. We can grow all these things and eat very nicely. Where is economic problem? So, yeah, if you can get your shelter, your clothes, and your food without money, bypassing the paper money, then why not? We're kind of brainwashed from the beginning of life in school, you need money, otherwise you cannot get food, you cannot survive, you cannot get shelter, this. But if you can bypass it, living off the land, and even making your own clothes, you grow cotton and make your own clothes. Prabhupada even said you don't need electricity even. You can use castor oil and make lamps out of castor oil. So yes, there's all these gifts from the earth, and when you live in such a way where you're always involved with the land, actually you don't work so much. His Holiness Kadamba Maharaj, when he was the temple president in Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan, so the Prabhupada made a rule that if any checks need to be made, for a certain department in the temple, then the temple president has to sign on it. So Maharaj always found himself always signing checks, like wherever he went, they'll be, "Oh, you're here, can you sign this check? Can you sign this check?" He'll be, even in the shower, "Oh, I found you, I need you to sign this check." And he says, "Well, my hand is wet, here's a towel, can you sign this check?" So then he was like, "I had enough of these checks, So he went to Govardhan, he thought no one would be there. And he goes, "Oh, I've been looking for you all week, can you sign this check?" And he's like, "Oh man." So then he just went off full off the beaten track. He went in some random field somewhere. And then he met some man. And he says, he proclaimed to him, he goes, "This is my field." And he goes, "Oh, it's your field?" He goes, "Yes, it's very nice field. Very best crop, very nice crop." "Oh, very nice crop, And he was thinking him very simple, like a kid, "You like my bike? It's the best bike, He goes, "Yeah." So he thought he was humoring him. And he goes, "Yes, this is my land. And I come here every day." And he goes, "Oh, every day?" "Yes, every day." And he goes, "Yes, I come every day. I work for 2 hours, and then the rest of the day I do puja at home." So then Maharaj started thinking, he goes, "Actually, this guy is not so childish or simple, He just works 2 or 3 hours in the field, and then all day he just does puja. And he probably lives in a small kind of home and has a family, and they all help in the puja. And, that's what life's supposed to be, You don't need to dedicate so much time and energy just for maintaining this body, maintaining your status quo. Our human form of life is meant for elevating consciousness, to become lovers of Krishna. So he does, 8-9 hours of puja all day, just 2 hours dedicated for his body. Imagine you work your job. How many jobs are like 8 or 9 hours? And then you have to work overtime. And still, you don't have enough. So we can see this living off the land as being a more efficient way to live, and a more efficient way to elevate consciousness. After greeting Shri Radha and Vrindavan Chandra, who were bedecked with the natural opulence of fresh wild flowers from the pastures, Srila Prabhupada received Guru Puja. The temple room was packed with a large contingent of young saffron-clad Gurukul boys all crowded around the front of the Vyasasana. The sun was just coming up, and its strengthening rays shone through the window behind Srila Prabhupada, highlighting his divine grace in a splendorous orange-gold effulgence. Prabhupada played the gong, and the devotees jumped and shouted excitedly when he threw flowers high into the air over their heads. They were the Guru Pujas, huh? When I joined, it was like that. Guru Puja means like, oh yes, we're gonna party, we're gonna get into it. And we'll just like jump so high, touch the ceiling, and like run up and down. Especially during like when it starts going, Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu, you just be running up and down towards Prabhupada and back. And then you jump, and then, Prabhu, everyone just start touching the ceiling at that point. And devotees were wild. I don't know what happened. But yes, it's just like, if you look at the videos of Prabhupada, following Prabhupada, yes, the devotees were so in ecstasy just chanting for the pleasure of Prabhupada, singing his glories. And he would play the gong, and he would encourage it. And I heard in Melbourne, Australia, this is where Madhavisa, that time was Swami, he started the yatra there. And he was known as the king of kirtan. And he would run up and down in the temple room from one side to the other, and he'd jump right in front of Prabhupada's steps, They would like jump there, and Prabhupada he encouraged it, more and more, and they'll run and then jump like this. If you do that now, I don't know what will happen to you, but you could try and bring it back, we'll see. Prabhuji, please. After singing Jai Radha Madhava, Prabhupada spoke on Srimad Bhagavatam 7.6.6. Prahlad Maharaj makes the calculation in this verse that out of 100 years duration of his human form, a person who cannot control his senses only has 50 years. This is because he sleeps 12 hours per day due to ignorance, and thereby loses this time for the real business of spiritual development. So you can try that as well. This is Prahlad Maharaj's teachings, millions of years ago. And they just started bringing out this trend where you can get like a chart or like a map, and you feel it like each there's like a square, so many squares. Say you live like 80 years or 100 years, so then each square is like a week. So if there's 52 weeks in a year, so then it has it fully up. So then you say if it's like 80 or 100 years, so you cross out all the squares that you've already done. So say however old you are, you work it out. It's all squared out. And then you compare it to how much time you have left. It doesn't look very much, actually. So then Prahlad Maharaj makes it worse, where he says, yes, if you live 100 years, actually half is already lost by sleeping. And then your childhood years, 10 years is gone, and your family life already 20, 25 years is gone. So where's the time for spiritual life? It's like 10 years, 10, 15 years left. So we really have to make the best of it. Noting the good fortune of young brahmacharis at his feet in the beginning of their devotional service at the start of their lives, Prabhupada, so this is like young Gurukul boys, so they had a Gurukul at New Vrindavan. Prabhupada explained that Bhagavad Dharma means to keep always engaged in the service of the Lord without a second's loss. He listed the 9 different items by which one can serve the Lord. He especially focused on archana, deity worship. As he explained the value of it, he coupled it with a warning. If you can contact Vishnu or his devotee, Vaishnava, that is alright. Otherwise, you are simply wasting time. The Lord is called Acha Vigraha. He is also an incarnation. Another incarnation, Acha Avatar. He is giving facility to the devotees to handle him. If you do not get the opportunity to serve the Lord, how you can be perfect? This is Acha Vigraha, is the Lord's incarnation to give facilities to people like us who cannot see God everywhere. For the neophyte devotees, it is essential to worship the deity. But if we simply worship the deity without hearing about the Lord, Shravanam, Kirtanam, these things are essential. Then the deity worship will be a burden. At a certain point, it will be a burden. And gradually, it will be neglected, and the whole thing will be spoiled. So both things should continue, Bhagavad Marg and Pancharichiki Marg. Deity worship is Pancharichiki Vidhi, and Bhagavad Marg is hearing chanting like that. Both of them should be accepted, parallel line. Otherwise, one without the other will be later on troublesome. So you must continue. This temple means not only we shall decorate the deity very nicely, cleanse the temple, at the same time, Shravanam Kirtanam of Vishnu. We must go on. 2 things, parallel. Then it will be done very nicely. So actually this life is meant for this purpose. Very practical advice. Our experience in Kali Yuga shows that we don't even have 100 years. Even then, he said, people are not serious about utilizing their time properly. In our temple, in New York, in the beginning, when I was having classes in the morning at 7 o'clock, still people from here and there, they would come and protest and go to the police because they were disturbing their sleep. Yes, they want to sleep as much possible hours. I think that is very great gain in the Western country, to sleep. There's not many people here either. So to sleep means simply waste time. You must know it. The valuable life which you have got immediately, so many hours minus. Sleep is not good. Sleep, if we can do without sleep, that is perfection. Not that let me enjoy sleep 12 hours, 14 hours, whole life. No, this is waste of time. He cited the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan as examples of perfection in the use of time. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Shri Gaurahari ki, Shri Giri Govardhan ki. So, we say we should be very, very careful not to waste the duration of life, even by a second. We shall eat less. Then we shall sleep also less. Nidrahara Viharakari. Then our sex appetite will also be less. Unnecessarily eating, unnecessarily sleeping is not required at all. That is the practice by the Goswamis. They conquered over eating, sleeping, mating. There is no question they were sannyasis, renounced order of life. And defense also, there was no question because they depended on Krishna, the most powerful defender. Simply two things, eating and sleeping. And that they also conquered. So spiritual life means you have to control. That is called Goswami. Yes, Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada in the introduction says, unless you're a Goswami, you cannot become a pure devotee. So the senses and the mind must be controlled. But bhakti is very nice controlling. We are going for the higher taste. Vidya Vinaya Sampane, no, sorry. Vishya Vinivatante Nirhasya Dehana Rasarajam Vasilpiyasya Padam Diswa Nivatate. That the yogi is trying to control the senses, but they still have the taste for sense enjoyment. But by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixing consciousness. This is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. We are not like the jnanis and the yogis. By their own strength, they're trying to control the mind and senses. So the example is given just like the baby monkey and the baby kitten. So the baby monkey has to hold on. You've seen the monkeys around here, right? There's some baby monkeys. And some, so when the mama monkey is jumping from tree to branch, so the baby monkey has to hold on by its own strength. So that's like the jnanis and the yogis trying to detach from the material world by their own strength. But the devotee is like the baby kitten. So it just has to surrender and then just has to pick it up and carry it wherever. So the kitten feels safe, secure, and its destination is certain. You just have to surrender to the mama cat. So we surrender to the Supreme Defender, Krishna, by engaging in his devotional service, engaging our senses in the service of the Master of the senses. And that is done by chanting, dancing, and feasting, which is very blissful. The day was quiet, and Prabhupada settled comfortably into the simple... Oh wait, did I miss it? Yes, I did. He told us that this level of control is not possible to achieve by artificially suppressing our senses, but can be had by attaining a higher spiritual taste. Okay. There is another happiness, that is transcendental bliss, that we perceive a little bit while we're chanting. And by chanting, when you'll be purified, then you will have the opportunity of tasting that transcendental bliss. Otherwise, the so-called happiness derived from the senses, that is not happiness. That is crude. That is for the fools and rascals. That is not happiness. So we should utilize our time very carefully. You have taken to Krishna consciousness, take it a little more seriously and practice. Follow the rules and regulations, chant regularly, then your life will be successful. Thank you very much. The day was quiet, and Prabhupada settled comfortably into the simple but pleasant house amid the fields and hills of West Virginia. It was a prefabricated structure, one of the better ones in the area, and is owned by Vanadas and Hladini Dasi, who have vacated it to allow Srila Prabhupada its use. There are 3 bedrooms, a lounge, and a kitchen. Prabhupada is using the largest of the bedrooms for his work and darshan area, and sleeps in a modest bed in another. The third is occupied by Pushta Krishna and myself, and Prajumna and Rakshana sleep downstairs in the large basement. The house is furnished with more of the furniture from Bombay, which will eventually be placed in Prabhupada's furniture home at Durban, a marble-top desk and matching asan, a large wardrobe with the figures of 10 principal incarnations of Lord Vishnu carved in relief on the door panels, and a second large red Vyasasan with a lion on either side and yellow satin upholstery. This seat has been placed on a large marble slab out in the garden for Prabhupada to sit on during the afternoon. Such opulence, huh? Yeah, the spiritual master is as good as God. So we have to give the very best. So report is they tried to catch Prabhupada when I think he arrived in Australia or America somewhere. And they said, why, I thought you were supposed to be like spiritual, why are you coming in the Rolls Royce, you know? And he says, well, you know, my disciples, they offer it to me, so I accept, you know. And because, you know, they see, as a representative of God, they have to treat me as good as God. But what is this Rolls Royce? Just a tin can? Should be made of solid gold, you know, like this. So it's not good enough still. So he was always a step ahead of the reporters. It was really good. The one bathroom was reserved exclusively for Srila Prabhupada, although Pradyumna Prabhu, who still had a gaping wound in his side, is also allowed its use. The rest of us bathed in the backyard from our 4 feet high plastic barrels of water brought on the back of a truck by the devotees. We passed all in the fields. It's like we've been back in India, except West Virginia is not as warm. Yes. Cold mornings outside is not fun. I can tell you that. Yeah, we knew some devotees who lived at that time, and you know, the lake was like frozen over, so they had to take bath from the lake. So they'll smash the ice and then like this. Yeah, that was a little austere for Prabhupada. There is a small lawn sheltered from the road by a row of trees and bushes, the foliage being just thick enough to afford complete privacy. Today, Srila Prabhupada chose to have his noon massage outside, sitting in a shaded area of the garden. Palika and Vishaka Prabhus are staying across the road in the Madhuvan temple, a house which shelters what seems to be a 5 feet high, the biggest Jagannath deities in ISKCON. They will be taken to Cleveland tomorrow, 170 miles away, to benedict the American public with their Rath Yatra festival. In the mid-morning, Pushta Krishna Swami presented Srila Prabhupada the mail. He was happy to get a long, detailed report from Harikesh Swami on the preaching in Eastern Europe. That's your place. At the time of writing, June 10th, he was in Cologne, waiting to get a visa. Poland. We've been there. Oh, it's the same temple? No, it's a different one. Okay. Yeah, you have to visit those. It's really nice. Germany, Europe, like you just drive 1 or 2 hours, you're in another country. And many, like especially Germany, they have like temples everywhere. Even though it's just a small country, but so many temples everywhere, beautiful temples too. So, we as devotees, like we hear Prabhupada built a house the whole world can live in, but you get to see the different rooms of the house when you go around different temples. So I'm going to put that desire in you guys to see all the temples. His letter commenced with a full page of glorification of Srila Prabhupada, comparing him to a famous biblical figure. You have become like Noah, who filled his ark with all kinds of living entities and saved them from the flood, which engulfed the whole world. And then, as the story goes, when the deep seas subsided a little bit, created civilization again. So you have taken command of the modern-day ark and are saving the most fortunate souls from this huge flood of mature neosynths. And in your various centers, you are recreating real civilization. Although it seems to be an impossible task, you are the most worshipful personality amongst men. Although you are not an ordinary man, but the leader of all men, the most perfect and supreme servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Harikesh, accompanied by Sumahat Das, has been traveling extensively through England, Germany, France, Sweden, and other European countries. They have formed a preaching team with 2 other devotees, Akshara Das and Avinasha Chandra Das. Ravanari Das, an Arab devotee who speaks fluent German, is collecting to support their activities. He is also actively preaching behind the Iron Curtain. Harikesh expects their team to be in Poland until June 24th, and then in Hungary from June 25th until July 5th. After that, they plan to attend the London Rath Yatra, visit Greece for 2 weeks, to meet up with the members of the Hungarian Yoga Club, who will be on vacation there, and then come to visit Srila Prabhupada in France. After that, their plans to visit Bulgaria. Yeah, he was so powerful, Harikesh. So actually, like, book distribution was like I think it can't compare. Like you can find there's a YouTube channel called KrishnaTube, and there you can find videos of like book distribution in Europe from the 80s and 90s, and you see them. They're carrying like hardbound books this tall, and they're just standing in parking lots, just stopping people, and they'll take like 2 or 3 of them. And there was like Rohini Nandan, and there was Harinamananda, and Navina Nirada. They were like so amazing book distributors. You see them, you know, young guys. Who else was it? Rohini Sutta, sorry. Yeah. And yeah, you see them, you know, so fired up. And yeah, those the days, you know, so much. Oh, is it? Okay, Bhakti Vaibhaswam. Avinash Chandra is Bhakti Vaibhaswam. There we go, he's part of the team. Okay, so that's how he connected to going to like Middle East with Tribhuvanath Prabhu. Yeah. So Bhakti Vaibhaswam, he talks about distributing books in the Arab world. So they were in Lebanon. Was it Lebanon? Where that building? Yeah. So they're in Lebanon. And they went through the whole building, distributed all the books, Arabic books. And then when they got out, the whole building exploded. Oh man, God, how would you do that? How would you continue, you know? But they're so dedicated to Prabhupada. We don't have to do that now. You know, so many books are printed nicely, and so many favorable people are interested in spiritual life. You know, you can just sponsor a few books and hand them out. Why not? And you get the same blessings from Prabhupada, just like Bhakti Vaibhaswam did in Lebanon. So it's much easier now to get the blessings for book distribution. He describes some other experiences preaching in the communist countries. In Yugoslavia, doesn't exist anymore. Although it is not a hard line as other Eastern Bloc states, the authorities warned them to leave Belgrade. Belgrade is Serbia. Almost as soon as they arrived, they had several complications. A new bhakta they had taken along cracked under the pressure of their austere living. For 2 days, they only ate roasted farina with salts. What's farina? Okay, don't even know what it is. And went off on his own. Yes, that was the days. When he returned, they discovered he had been eating meat, which made him stink horribly. And it became quite troublesome, keeping him in order. Another problem was bad publicity generated the previous year by Duguridas, the native Yugoslavian who joined our movement in Australia. Oh my God, this is a goodie. He's still in Australia. He's a disciple of Gogovinda Maharaj. He's far out. He's far out personality. Still like, okay. The native Yugoslavian, I didn't know he was from Yugoslavia. He joined our movement in Australia. The Gudi had returned to his homeland in an attempt to preach. He held a press conference, but because he was only a semi-literate and cannot speak correctly, the press reported that the followers of the Hare Krishna movement engage in human sacrifices and take drugs. Harikesh heard this from some people in Zagreb. Zagreb's in Croatia. Also, while in Zagreb, Sumahat lost his passport. Still happening now. We know some new bhaktas losing their passports, obliging them to remain for 6 extra days because everything was closed for the May Day parade and celebrations. Classic. Okay. Despite these problems, they took offense. They took the offense. So we thought that, they took the offensive. So we thought that what is there to lose? Let's go out on the street and distribute. So we did, and after the first 2 people were being watched by about 10 different authorities, so we had to stop fast, but not before we had a few addresses to visit. At this point, we were a little bold, so we went to the center of town at the huge fountain and set up a bookshop and started to sell books and records like anything. The police came, but I started talking about how we were with the Sanskrit department at the university, in the Indology department, and how all the teachers were reading these books on Indian culture, etc. Somehow they were not so disturbed. So determined, whatever it took, just go for it. I mean, I remember asking my spiritual master because I remember reading about Prabhupada, how he got invited first to Japan to do a spiritual conference. So that would have been the first country he went to. Imagine that ISKCON started in Japan. Then we'll have a Japanese style movement. But no, he ended up in New York first, and now we have an American style. So he had this whole thing of making a book called Light of the Bhagavat. And Light of the Bhagavat was it was based on a chapter from the Krishna book, the description of autumn. And he wanted to have this Japanese style artwork along with the descriptions described there, to appeal to the Japanese audience. So I was thinking this is so innovative, because no Acharya really did that beforehand. And he was just so enthusiastic, what initiative, how are we going to catch them? So I was just wondering, I was asking my spiritual master, how did he get this drive for innovation and knew what it looked like and make it manifest? So he said, it's just enthusiasm. When you have enthusiasm, Krishna will give you intelligence of how you can innovate attract a certain crowd. Like this. I was Prabhupada was enthusiastic no matter what, how many fails took place. He just kept going. If you think about how his typewriter got stolen, the manuscript got stolen. He lost the manuscript for Bhagavad Gita twice. One time in India and another time in America. I would have given up a long time ago. The 2 heart attacks on the boat, and then, traveling from Vrindavan all the way to Delhi. It was hard to even get paper because of the war. So he's like, no, this is for ending war, this is for peace, like this. And it's just a 1-page magazine. He'll distribute it himself in the hot sun, and many Indians weren't even interested. They weren't thinking, here's this sadhu. And sadhu in India means a beggar. So he didn't get the respect deserved. And even while he was distributing, some cow just ran into him. Oh man, 69, it hurt me. When I read that, I was like, no. That was deeply, it was too much for me. And he just kept going. Kept going. So for us, we should take inspiration from Prabhupada. Okay, we may have some troubles, some disturbances. But if you look towards Prabhupada, you compare his challenges to ours, it's nothing, I think we can keep going. We can chant another round. We can visit the temple again. We can be with the devotees again. We shouldn't just cut off Krishna consciousness altogether. After returning to the West, they traveled with, this is Harikesh speaking. After returning to the West, they traveled with the president of the Munich Center, Prithu Das. Okay, he's been here. He's an amazing devotee, amazing preacher. To East Berlin in the DDR. Although East Berlin is relatively easy to enter, no devotees have previously been there. The rest of the country is off limits to visitors. They stayed in an obligatory hotel, which was expensive, but they met with many interested people. People are starving for Krishna. They have lists underground where one of our books will circulate all over the country, 3 days with each person, or sometimes overnight, and the list is endless. One of our books is read thousands of times, so we smuggled in a whole large suitcase filled with Gitas, Bhagavatams, and records, and a few small books. These books are going like wildfire. We have devised a system for getting huge quantities into the country. To transit to West Berlin is very easy, and they do not check the auto. So one van went in by the entry with nothing in it. One van went in transit full. They met on a rest stop at night and changed suitcases, and if two identical vans are going, one could change license plates and get a huge amount in at once. But we just changed the cases this time, and we did home programs almost every night, and many people are now very interested in Krishna consciousness. They love our records and play them constantly. That's fire. He said that in the DDR, things are run in such a way that people are deliberately isolated and cannot meet each other together in groups. They're locked down. We've had that before. Fruits and vegetables are very scarce. Can't even get fruits and veggies. Harikesh mentioned that his health is still quite bad. He has not recovered since he left our party in February in Mayapur. A doctor told him that he has a stone or blockage in the tube that makes bile go to the stomach. Yet somehow, while preaching, he said he forgets all this. He says, I can actually feel Krishna holding me up when I'm out preaching. Yes, we probably all experience that. When we go out and preach, and the odds are against us, and you could be in some random town, and you may think, Krishna, why have you brought me here? But yes, we just take shelter of the holy name, we take shelter of our spiritual master, and somehow just try and please them. I'm here, I'm not qualified, I don't know why I'm doing here. Maybe at the university you may feel like that. How am I going to relate to these kids? What am I going to do to somehow give them Krishna consciousness? And you just take shelter. It's like, it's nothing on my own merit here. I'm just here under the order of my spiritual master, and then, Krishna, you do what you want with me. If you want me to fail, okay, it's up to you. If you want me to be successful, okay. But I'm just trying to do something for my spiritual master. You're in charge. And when you do that, then you feel Krishna just pick you up and just encourage you in amazing ways. So we can see that by the preaching in the Eastern Bloc. It's amazing. So I'll read a little bit more. The biggest problem they face, though, is lack of funds. Only Ravanari is collecting money, but he is due to go back to Egypt and try to establish something there. I didn't know they tried in Egypt. Bhagavan Das has promised help, but only in September, and most other centers are small and struggling with debts. Therefore, I'm wondering what to do. I'll have to stop this program after the Poland and Hungary trips, for there is no more money. Still, he said, he was confident that if Krishna wants the program to go on, the necessary support will come. So I'll stop here. If you want to add any reflections? No? Good. Srila Prabhupada ki?
Yeah.